America's turning 250, and it's time to rock out with our forefathers. American-made, battle-ready style for true patriots. Whether you're marching in the parade, grilling in the backyard, or raising a toast to liberty, do it in the gear that screams freedom. Celebrate 250 years of USA in style. Wear your American pride loud. Trendjackers.etsy.com. Grab yours before the fireworks.
From Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown, this is Sports Bash presented by TicketBash.com. TicketBash.com, where memories are made affordable and where you'll never pay a service fee. TicketBash.com is the best site to go to for Super Bowl packages. You can use code HOLIDAY15 for a limited time for 15% off your order. Sports Bash is also presented by Ryan Anthony's Heating and Air Conditioning Service, keeping Long Island warm for over 18 years, serving their customers in Nassau and Suffolk with pride, honesty, and integrity. For more information, visit www.liboilers.com. Well, hi again, everyone. Happy Tuesday, everybody. I'm Peter Schwartz. Welcome to Sports Bash. 516-465-3990 is the number to call. Make sure you're subscribing to Govs Comedy Club podcast channel on YouTube and Facebook, and follow Sports Bash Media on X, Instagram, and Facebook. You can also listen to the show on Apple Music, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And I think we have an outstanding program for everybody today. A lot of football talk on the show today. 120 will be joined by Jason Logan from Covers.com. We had him on the show a few weeks ago to break down the NFL playoffs, and with the Super Bowl coming up this Sunday, I thought it'd be great to get him back on and get his perspective on the game and some of the plays you might want to make in advance of the game on Sunday. And of course, obviously, when you think about sports gambling, is there an event that is more wagered on, I guess is the way to say it, than the Super Bowl? And the great thing is it's not only betting on who you think is going to win and what the point spread is, but it's all the exotic bets that go on Sunday as well, and who's going to score first. Is Drake May going to throw for 300 yards? What are the total yards in the game? All the how long is the national anthem going to take to be sung? So I want to talk to Jason, obviously, mostly about the game, but I want to try and get a little feel of what some of the other exotic bets, the prop bets, so to speak, that you can make on the game on Sunday. I don't know how everybody to each their own, how you celebrate Super Bowl Sunday. Usually for me, it's waking up a little depressed because it's another year that the Jets aren't in the game. But you try to make the best of it when you have a Super Bowl party. We like to put a little Schwartz little family, the four of us, a little nosh together. My wife does a wonderful job, getting everything together and setting the room up. And I said, listen, buffalo chicken dip. It all starts with my wife's buffalo chicken dip on Sunday, and then we go from there. And then it's wherever the wings come from. But my Super Bowl Sunday, forget about who wins or loses the game, because it's never the Jets. But if there's buffalo chicken dip, doesn't matter who wins the game. My day is made with the buffalo chicken dip on Sunday. But what my wife also does is she prints out the games that you can play along the commercial game. So it's like the commercial bingo. So like you get the sheet printed out, and it's got the different commercials that are supposed to be on the game, and you play bingo. And we'll have like some stupid prizes for everybody, maybe for the kids, like a pack of baseball cards or football cards, whatever it is, or something, if you win the bingo, which is it's so much fun, and it makes you follow along, and you don't have to go to the bathroom all the time. But you want to watch the commercials, and you save the bathroom for halftime. But we have a great show. We're going to talk to Jason Logan from Covers.com about everything going on betting-wise with the Super Bowl. And then at 1:40, we're going to be joined by New England Patriots radio play-by-play voice, Bob Socci. And we'll have a little fun with this, too, because, again, like everyone knows I'm a Jets fan. But in all the years, I've done national updates on Sirius XM, on CBS Sports Radio, Infinity, all that stuff. Bob Socci is one of the great play-by-play voices in all of football. And I would always enjoy, to a certain extent, playing his highlights on my updates. I try to avoid it when, Patriots would beat the Jets. I try to avoid it, but like if it was just a regular, normal Patriots game, I would always enjoy, playing his play-by-play highlights. So we'll have a little fun with that with Bob later in the show. We'll also have the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day, what's hot at ticketbash.com, and the Coach's Collectibles item of the week. It is time for the Sports Bash Flash. It is presented by the Marty Lyons Foundation, granting wishes for more than 43 years. For more information, please visit martylyonsfoundation.org. Super Bowl 60 takes place this Sunday in Santa Clara as the Patriots take on the Seahawks. So all the pomp and circumstance of all the things that go on during Super Bowl weekend. I've been blessed in my life to be at 8 Super Bowls. And it's probably the most fascinating sporting event that I've ever covered, because it's not just the game. I mean, you cover the Super Bowl, you're there for the whole week, and you do Radio Row, and you go to the press conferences, not just the ones with the teams, but it's also like the press conferences I love to go to, and they do a million of them during the week. There's a press conference at the local police and FBI. They do a press conference about counterfeit Super Bowl merchandise, which was always the most intriguing thing that I would go to, because there they would have laid out on a table in this room where they would do the press conference is confiscated, stolen, not stolen, maybe it was stolen, but also, confiscated merchandise that was counterfeit. And it would be this whole 1 hour, press conference about how you should not buy stuff unless you get it from an authorized NFL retailer. But there it was, this whole table full of stuff. And I'm like, can we take any of this? No, it's still evidence. It's still evidence. They've just Patrick Mahomes jersey, whatever else. So, but yeah, so it's a lot of fun to cover the Super Bowl. It's a lot of work when you're assigned to one of the teams, and I had to do that for WFAN 3 years in a row. That's the grueling part. People think it's all fun and games, but being with a team the whole week and you got to file reports, then after you're done with your work, then it becomes fun and games. Then you go to the press conferences you don't really need to, like the one I just said, because I really didn't do anything there. It's intriguing to me. And then you get to see the city and everything. The Super Bowl is great. I hope I get to go back there again at some point. I'll quickly mention this because we're going to get to it in a few minutes in great detail. But the Giants, of course, today named former Chiefs offensive coordinator and Bears head coach Matt Nagy as their new offensive coordinator. Again, I'll have more on that in just a minute. The Jets are still looking for a new offensive coordinator. It was reported this morning that former Colts and Panthers head coach Frank Reich was at the Jets complex in Florham Park. Last night, the Islanders lost to the Capitals 4-1. The Isles will host the Penguins tonight at UBS Arena. It's a 7:30 puck drop. And you want to stay tuned. You always should stay tuned for the shows, as I love it when people watch the show. But on Thursday, I will have a complete review of something very special that's going to be happening tonight at UBS Arena. At Section 103, if you've got a ticket to the game, if you're going, the Islanders and UBS Arena are opening up a Benihana concession stand at UBS Arena Section 103. And of course, I mean, if you like Japanese food, hibachi, I mean, there's nothing better in the world than Benihana. Tony Walker, my producer, and the host of the Knock 'em Dead comedy show from 11 to 12:30 here at Govs, which ran a little bit late today, but that's okay. It didn't affect us. Have you been to Benihana before?
No.
You've never been to Benihana?
I have never been.
Well, we're going to have to change that. Maybe we'll meet the right executives there tonight as they unveil the concession stand at Section 103 at Benihana. And I found out, and this is even better, like you cover a hockey game, it's a privilege to be able to cover NHL games and all professional games, and I'm always grateful for that. But I found out today that the press meal in the press box tonight is none other than Benihana food. So they're going to bring up Benihana to the press box tonight, which is going to be absolutely phenomenal. Now, keeping in mind also, and I'm very, very pleased to report an extensive weight loss over the last month for myself. So I am taking it easy during the course of today because I would like to have a nice portion of Japanese food tonight on at the Islanders game. Again, not to overdo it because I'm very, very proud of what I've done so far, and I feel better. Of course, getting the Riot Act read to you by people that are close to you is not the greatest thing in the world, but I do feel better. And there are some jerseys in my closet that I would like to be able to, get back onto my body that don't fit anymore. But we're going to get closer to that because there's some stuff that I would like to get out of the closet that I would like to wear. So I'm progressing in the right direction there. So Tony, if your brother ever brings another box of Entenmann's cookies, what do you got over there? No, keep those away from me. No, they're given to me for a second. I'm not. No. This is the devil. This is the devil. And you know what? It's the work of Frank Walker and Tony's brother. And I will tell you, for weeks and weeks and weeks, that man would leave a 3/4 filled box of Entenmann's cookies on this desk right in front of me. It's almost as if he was asking me for trouble. So I take this and I give it back to you.
If you notice, I've been hiding it back here.
Yes, absolutely.
It's out of sight.
So I do not want it. I will. Believe me, I'll eat good tonight at the Islanders game. There's no question about it. The Devils host the Blue Jackets at 7. The Knicks host the Wizards at 7. The Nets host the Lakers at 7:30. College basketball, St. John's on the road at DePaul. And how about this? This is a cool announcement. And even if you're not a soccer fan, this is cool if you're a soccer fan in the metropolitan area. The 2028 Summer Olympics, of course, will be in Los Angeles. However, it appears as if LA does not have enough facilities to handle all of the events that are taking place at the Summer Olympics in 2020. You're looking at me like I have 5 heads again.
I didn't hear this. So
you didn't hear this?
No.
So most of the events obviously will be in Los Angeles, but there are some events that will take place in other parts of the country, including soccer. And some of the soccer matches, men's and women's, the regular soccer and the Paralympic soccer, will take place at the new home of NYCFC, Etihad Stadium, which is being built right next to Citi Field. So if you were wondering what that construction was going on next to Citi Field, that is the new home of NYCFC, of Major League Soccer. And in 2028, there will be some Olympic soccer matches taking place right across the street from Citi Field. That's going to be awesome to be able to see an Olympic soccer match here in the New York area. And of course, that's what's happening. The Sports Bash Flash is presented by the Marty Lyons Foundation. Now here, before we are going to take a break and welcome in our first guest in a little while, I wanted to talk more about Matt Nagy getting the job as the offensive coordinator for the New York Football Giants. And when you're in this business as long as I have for 36 years, and please indulge me, and I pardon the making this personal, which I do sometimes when it comes to sports, but when you're in the business 36 years, and you create relationships that last seemingly forever. Stuff like today really puts a smile on my face, because you could be having a real crappy day, whatever. And not that I was having a crappy day, but you could, and something could happen to a loved one or a friend of yours, and it kind of puts a smile on your face. And again, like I said, not that I was having a bad day. I was not, but I was on a phone call, and I get off the phone call, and my wife comes out of her office in the house and says, "Oh, congratulations! Great news about Matt." I'm like, "What? Matt who?" I'm like, "She goes, Matt Nagy." I'm like, "What happened?" He's the offensive coordinator of the Giants. And I'm like, I missed the whole, because I'm always on my phone checking Twitter. And my wife was the one who broke the news to me that Matt Nagy was hired as the Giants offensive coordinator. And again, relationships are everything, whether it's family relationships, friends, business, whatever. And for me, my relationship with Matt Nagy means a tremendous deal. And for those who don't know why, I'll tell you. Matt Nagy was a quarterback for the New York Dragons of the Arena Football League when I was the radio announcer for the 8 years that the Dragons played at Nassau Coliseum. He was a practice squad player in 2001, made the roster in 2002 when Aaron Garcia signed with the NFL San Francisco 49ers. So Nagy started the season as the backup, eventually became the starting quarterback during that 2002 season. And later in the season, Danny Cannell, the former Giants quarterback, would replace him. But Matt Nagy was a starting quarterback for the Dragons. And the following year, blew out his knee playing basketball. He actually did color with me for a couple of games on the radio. But Matt and I became very close, and we stayed in touch. And then I watched him go on his coaching journey, going from coaching intern under Andy Reid with the Eagles to becoming a coach. Then Andy Reid brought him to Kansas City with him. He ultimately became the offensive coordinator and then became the head coach of the Chicago Bears, back to Kansas City as offensive coordinator, and now the OC of the New York Football Giants. And I could not be happier for him. I could not be happier for him just as a friend, but also the situation he now finds himself in, because look who he's been around for all these years. Patrick Mahomes. I mean, what offensive coach would not want to be around a player the caliber of Patrick Mahomes? And that's what Matt Nagy had, except for the couple of years he was in Chicago and Mitch Trubisky was his quarterback. And he got a bad rap in Chicago. He was coach of the year. He got the Bears to the playoffs, won the division, was NFL coach of the year, and then he had Mitch Trubisky as his quarterback. I mean, come on, that's jet-like stuff. But Nagy's got Super Bowl rings, and he's got experience working with great quarterbacks over time, and obviously learned a lot under Andy Reid with the Eagles and with the Chiefs. And to me, there will be a time when Matt Nagy is a head coach again. There's no question. But for the time being, he is in a great situation now with the Giants under new head coach John Harbaugh, and also getting to work with Jackson Dart and Malik Neighbors and Cam Scatterbo and the other offensive pieces that the Giants have. So it's a great day for Matt Nagy and his family. From New Jersey, went to Delaware, professional playing experience and a tremendous experience as a coach. And again, he's just the nicest guy in the world, a really good dude. I texted him. I'm sure he remembers who I am. I know he does. I'm sure he's really busy. That's why, you think the first thing he was going to do was respond to my text this morning. I'm sure he'll get to it. There's no question about it. But it would be cool if he responded to the text while we were on the air. And I would love to get him on the show. And the Giants have not acknowledged it yet. By the way, these are all reports that have surfaced that he's going to be the offensive coordinator, and it's going to happen. But the Giants have not acknowledged it yet. And once they do, we're going to try to effort getting Matt on the show, maybe on Thursday or maybe one day next week. But I'm sure he'll do it. I'm sure the Giants will help us out with that. But again, I am so happy for him. He's a brilliant offensive mind. The Giants are getting a really, really good offensive mind as their head coach and somebody that will work well with Jackson Dart. I could not be happier for Matt. I could not be happier. Well, some Giant fans I'm not happy for. And they know who they are. And here's the thing, too, now. Like, I was joking today with my wife, and I was texting some people who I know who are Giant fans. I'm like, do I have to now like the Giants? Because Matt Nagy is a friend. do I now have to like the New York Football Giants? Again, I will never like them as much as the Jets, but I think I owe it to myself to now actually follow the Giants a lot closely because, a friend of mine is now the offensive coordinator. So I have to follow it. Probably will go to a game. Probably will go see him in training camp, get a chance to see him. But again, really, really happy for Matt Nagy, and hopefully we can get him on the program. Really quick, before we take a break and get to our first guest, the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day brought to you by the Embassy Diner. What is the most important food for a Super Bowl party? Buffalo wings, dip. I think you know where I'm voting on this. Buffalo wings, dip, pizza, and we're going to try this again. We try this all the time on the show, and Tony is my witness. We never have success with the other comment below. I'm trying it again. And let me just quickly look on the Sports Bash Media Twitter poll. Let's see if anybody, because nobody followed the directions early on. Still, no. Buffalo wings, dip, pizza, and other comment below. Buffalo wings right now is leading 63%. Dip has 18%. Pizza 8%. And other comment below 11%. But nobody has commented below. Why do we do this? Why do I keep killing myself? It says other comment below. 11% of the people who voted said other comment below, but you didn't comment. So how do I know what your vote is for? What do you like to have? And I don't get it. But anyway, Embassy Diner is located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Every customer is considered family at the Embassy Diner. Mention Sports Bash, get a free dessert with your meal. We'll take a really quick break, and when we come back, Jason Logan from Covers.com is going to join us to break down Super Bowl 60 when we come back right after this. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. I'm Peter Schwartz. 516-465-3990 is the number to call. We'll get to your phone calls a little bit later on. Also, Patriots Radio play-by-play announcer Bob Socci is going to join us on the program in our third segment. But right now, we want to bring in, and we love return guests here on the show. I think this guest may have set the record for the quickest return because we had him on a few weeks ago to break down Wild Card Weekend. And with the Super Bowl now upon us this week, I thought it would be great to bring him back on because everyone loves to bet on the Super Bowl, not just the point spread and the over-under and all that stuff, but there's so many other different ways to get your play in on Super Bowl 60. So I thought we'd bring back to the program, and I'd like to think he's become a good friend of the show, Jason Logan from Covers.com. Jason, it's Peter. How are you? Welcome back.
I'm good. Thanks for having me back. It's nice to be amongst friends. It's nice to be back.
Before we talk, Jason, and thanks for joining us on the show. Before we get into the game, I'm sure you heard my little rant before when we did the poll question of the day. The most important food for a Super Bowl party: wings, dip, pizza. Other comment below, and people did not comment below. So I'll throw the question out to you. What's the most important part of Jason Logan's Super Bowl party?
Oh boy, I'm happy you asked this one because I do have a bit of a hot take. So
okay.
I love wings. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I love wings, but in theory, chicken wings are just stupid because you got to pick them up and you're eating them. You get a little bit of meat. You're getting it all over the place.
So get boneless wings.
Well, those aren't chicken wings. That's chicken nuggets. Let's not kid ourselves here. Those are friggin' chicken nuggets, man. If I want chicken McNuggets, I'm gonna go chicken nuggets.
Okay.
But I'll say pizza. Pizza is like probably the least offending food. You can put whatever you want on it. Everyone generally eats it. It's easy to eat. You don't have sauce and crap everywhere. You don't have to go through a whole thing of paper towel. So while I love chicken wings, and I usually have chicken wings at my Super Bowl parties or whatever it is, I'm going to go pizza.
All right. That's fair enough. Listen, and again, people can still vote on the poll question. Just please, if you're going to vote other, just make sure you comment below. This way I know what you're voting for. Let's talk a little football. And obviously, it's the Seahawks and the Patriots, a rematch of a prior Super Bowl on Sunday. I don't think too many people thought at the beginning of the season this would be the matchup. When you look at the Patriots and the Seahawks getting the Super Bowl 60, what are your just overall thoughts on this matchup and where the early money is early in the week on this game?
Sure. I think in turn, we're looking at two teams that were like plus 6,000, plus 8,000 when the season started to win the Super Bowl. So considerable long shots to win the Super Bowl, and even teams that weren't expected to really kind of keep pace at the top of their division. The Patriots were going to be chasing Buffalo, and Seattle was in a hell of a race with that NFC West. But I think it speaks to the parity of the league. I think it speaks to tremendous defense and tremendous coaching, and that's what's going to get the job done in the playoffs as well, too. In terms of this game, what we've seen is we saw the look-ahead spread on this one as low as 3.5 before Championship Sunday. We get the results that we did. This one opened as low as 3.5 and then immediately took Seahawks money, and books just didn't mess around. They just immediately went to 4.5, and we've seen this kind of bounce between 4.5. Some books did a kind of a price discovery at 5.5, see if they would get Patriots money back at 5.5, and they did. And so this is the perfect spread for sports books for Super Bowl 60, because they can have it at 4.5 and take Seahawks money. And they know that when that gets a little high and maybe the liability on Seattle gets a little high, they can tick it up to 5 or 5.5 and get some buyback on the Patriots. The betting trends, very, very similar to every Super Bowl that we see. This is a different organism than what we see in the regular season for game-to-game lines. And even in the playoffs, because the Super Bowl is the one game where everybody, doesn't matter who it is, whether you are a usual gambler or a casual gambler or just someone looking for action, they have action on this game. So the public money will actually outweigh the sharp action and will move lines regardless of what the professionals think, because all of that money is going to come in the 72 hours before kickoff. So what we normally see is the people that like the favorite, they're going to lay the points with the favorite. And so we see a lot of Seattle minus 4.5. Anyone that likes the underdog, they're just going to pass on the point spread and bet the underdog to win outright. So we're seeing a lot more money on Patriots money line to win outright in this game. So it's either ATS with Seattle or straight up with the Patriots.
With the Patriots, I was going to ask you, Jason, because they've been in the Super Bowl so often in the last, 20 years or so, 6 Super Bowl rings, and they were in 3 other times and lost. Does a repeat entrant into the Super Bowl ever have any effect on the line because they've been in the game so often? Does that affect how bettors will look at the game? Oh, the Patriots, they're here again. Let's play them. Does that ever come into play?
I would say in terms of maybe preparation and how the week rolls out, and maybe some kind of traps that teams can fall into in that 2-week span, I think having some Super Bowl experience could help out. So a guy like Vrabel, who's done the cadence as a player, Josh McDaniels, who's done the cadence as a coordinator, they might have kind of an inside edge in terms of like, this is how we're going to navigate this week. But I think in terms of like product on the field, I don't think it changes anything. Those guys had a pretty good quarterback in Tom Brady backing those teams. He's not there this week around. So it's, for me, that doesn't really factor into the handicap, other than maybe just kind of setting up the logistics a bit easier. So, unless they were at the Super Bowl last year or 2 years ago, and now they're back in it again, and it's pretty much the same crew, I don't factor that into my handicap at all.
Jason Logan from Covers.com joining us here on Sports Bash to talk about Super Bowl 60 between the Patriots and the Seahawks on Sunday in Santa Clara. And obviously the focus of any football game, especially the Super Bowl, is generally on the quarterbacks. And you have Drake May for the Patriots, who has been an upstart player this year and one of the candidates for MVP. And then you have Sam Darnold, the former Jets third overall draft pick who has bounced around and really came of age last year with the Vikings and having another great season with the Seahawks. He is now a starting quarterback in the Super Bowl. So when you look at the matchup between the quarterbacks, what to you comes to mind, and talk about how the bettors get involved when it comes to the quarterback lines in this game?
Well, I'll tell you how I got involved with the quarterbacks in terms of their betting props for Super Bowl. So I like this matchup for Sam Darnold. I've been a Sam Darnold fan for a while, even when he was slogging it out in Carolina there, coming in and playing the back end of that season. But
Jason, you have to understand. You have to understand something. For me, as a Jet fan, I would spend Saturday nights when everybody else in the house went to sleep. I would stay up late, because USC played a lot of their games. They would start 10:30 at night. And the Jets were terrible. And I'm like, oh, my God, if the Jets can only get Sam Darnold, I would love it. And I would watch it like, well, it would be great to see Sam Darnold in green. And the Jets wind up getting him, and it just doesn't work out. It never works out, Jason. Now he's in the Super Bowl for Seattle.
Easy to be terrible on a terrible team. It's once they start putting a good team around him, you can see him kind of rise to the occasion. But for me, Sam Darnold in this game, I look at Sam Darnold. He's had 2 weeks to recover from that oblique injury that obviously limited him against San Francisco in that divisional round matchup, but he looked great against the Rams last week, threw the ball 36 times, 25 completions, some really, really sharp throws. But what I like from Sam Darnold in this game is if you look at, say, the last 10 opponents that he's played, it's all been zone-heavy schemes. His opponents have either been in the top 15 in terms of zone usage, or they've been like a top 7 in terms of zone usage, almost exclusively. And that includes a lot of matchups with the Rams and the Niners. Sam Darnold is a much better quarterback, number 3 in completion percentage versus man. So this is a situation where he's a little more comfortable throwing against this scheme. I think Vrabel wants the game on his shoulders. He wants to take away the run, and he wants Sam Darnold to be put in a situation where he's going to make a mistake, and we have seen that. Yep. However, I think Sam Darnold steps up to the challenge here. I took his over 19.5 completions. You can still get that out there. It's about minus 130 now, most places at 20.5. But I believe that Seattle's not going to be able to run the ball against this very stout Pats run defense now that all those guys up front are healthy, and Darnold's going to have to move the chains and win this game for them. In terms of Drake May, this is a big challenge for him because Seattle is so good at getting pressure with just 4 pass rushers, and it allows them to do so much with those linebackers in terms of coverage. And I think what we're going to see from Drake May in this is he's going to have to continue to make plays with his legs, which is what this offense has really leaned on. Things break down, he can go. And quite honestly, Seattle hasn't faced a QB probably all season as mobile as Drake May. The last time they played a dual threat quarterback that was somewhere in this range, they played Jaden Daniels, and he rushed for like 51 yards when they played Washington back in week 9. But if you look at the guys that they've played since then, it's like a bunch of pocket passers, a bunch of aging legs, but those guys were still putting up a lot of runs. So on Drake May, I took over his longest rush at 13.5. I don't know if he gets over his rushing yard total because those numbers are getting a bit inflated because of what we've seen in the playoffs.
What's the number right now? What's the total number now on the over-under for May on rushing yards in the game?
Oh, for his rushing yards. I honestly don't have it in front of me right now. I don't. I looked at it and it was kind of like, I want to say it's probably somewhere around 30. I believe.
Yeah, that's
a
tough. That's a tough one.
I think it was like 27.5 to 29.5. And while he's had some massive days, like 60-yard rushing days, a lot of that had to do with weather. And like I said, with Seattle, they can get pressure with 4, and then those linebackers can spy, and they can take away those runs. So what I looked at was basically saying, well, they have been susceptible to rushing quarterbacks, and I think May can break one for at least 13.5. He's going to have to break one because things are going to, that internal clock's going to get ticking. He's going to go through his progressions. Seattle is actually the number 1 defense at shutting down number 1 receivers. They're a top 5 defense in shutting down number 2 receivers. So that means this progression, I got to go because someone's coming after me. And he's taking off for hopefully more than 14 yards on one of his runs.
So it sounds like from what you're saying, both offenses may struggle a bit with the other team's defense because both teams' defenses are so good. It would sound to me like a good play here might be to take the under in this game.
Yeah, this one and this over-under opened at 46.5. We did see some early respected action come in, dragged it down to 45.5. getting over action in the Super Bowl is never tough. People, like I said, the general public, they're betting into this game. They're going to control the market in this game, and the recreational bettors, they want to see an exciting Super Bowl. We don't want a Super Bowl like last year. We want like a Super Bowl the year before that or the year before that where we saw a ton of points scored. And so there will be action on the over, and we're starting to see that trickle back in now, and we'll probably see a 46 to a 46.5 come back up later on. I haven't bet the total in this one. I'm not dead set on going with the under in this one. Drake May is a very good quarterback. And while Seattle may take away some of his deeper strikes, I still think he'll have the ability to hit some shorter looks. I liked Hunter Henry, his tight end, to go over his receiving yard total of 37.5. Seattle plays a lot of zone. Hunter Henry is their best receiving target versus zone, and he's that pressure release on short yardage. So, like I said, Seattle's going to take away those first couple looks. Drake May's going to have that alarm clock going off in his head, and he's going to have to get the ball away. And Hunter Henry has always been that pressure relief, that safety blanket for him. And some of his projections were kind of flirting with 50 yards in this game, so I got his over 37.5. We have seen Seattle give up some yards to tight ends already this season too. So a good spot for Hunter Henry to kind of save the day on that offense.
We have a few minutes left with Jason Logan from Covers.com as we talk about Super Bowl 60. Jason, I'll end in a few minutes by asking you for your overall pick on the game. But of course, as you mentioned before, there are so many people who bet on the Super Bowl. They're not really, big time, gamblers or sports wagers, so to speak. But there are people who will want to get involved with the Super Bowl, whether it's the actual game itself or even maybe these prop bets that are not on the field, and whether it's how long the national anthem is, and how long will it be, or how many TV appearances will so and so make. So from your perspective, what are some of the exotic prop bets that are out there right now that are getting a lot of attention?
I mean, and I have to preface some of this stuff because some of these things like betting on the halftime show and the length of the national anthem and some of these things, they're not available in all legal states. Like certain states have certain rules. Some of them don't allow, there's no grading unless it's in the box score. There's a yes, no, or a definitive winner. They don't mess with it. So the gaming commissions won't allow it. Right. So depending on what these could be for entertainment purposes only. I mean, the national anthem length is always one that gets a ton of attention. Yeah. There's always people trying to get that national anthem leak. And for a few years there too, the length of the national anthem was leaking. Sportsbooks are having to pull this down, which is why a lot of spots won't offer wagering on this now.
Well, I know from experience, Jason. So when I've covered a bunch of Super Bowls before, the network people are, whether it's on the radio or the TV side, they're in the stadium the day before getting everything set, and they're hearing the rehearsal for whether it's the national anthem or the halftime show. So I can imagine that there would be some states and some gaming books that would be a little skeptical about doing that.
Yeah, especially with it's an open air stadium there at Levi Stadium. I believe at Raymond James there in 2021, someone was just outside the stadium with a stopwatch listening to rehearsal, and that's how it got out. The Gatorade color bath is always something that's entertaining. What color is the Gatorade going to be on the winning coach? I'm going to lean. I used to always lean water because water was always there. Like they'll have whatever flavor Gatorade and water. But you need to remember this now is like a corporate sponsorship marketing opportunity. Sure. And the last thing the Gatorade people want is water to be thrown on the winning coach, right? So I was kind of leaning like that lime or green kind of flavored Gatorade. I am leaning towards the Seahawks in this game, so maybe that makes sense.
And the coin toss too. The coin toss is a big.
And the coin toss is one. I mean, this is the one where you're going to get fair odds on it. So some sports books will offer they'll basically offer as low a juice as they can, or they'll even just offer 1-to-1 as just like a fun, just get your football thing started. So you can get like minus 101 or even money plus 100 on the coin toss. So shop around if you're betting the coin toss and maybe see if you can get one of those basically free money things. At this point, I've been doing this for 20 years, and things like the Gatorade and the coin toss and the national anthem, they're common fare. I mean, you could go and bet on the halftime show, and I will say there have been certain Super Bowl halftime shows. Usher a couple years ago, I probably had more money bet on Usher's performance that I did on the game. I honestly, like, I don't know Bad Bunny's music at all, so I don't. This is the one year where I don't have any action on the halftime.
Jason,
show,
I'm
so
thinking about. I'm honestly thinking about doing my own halftime show on Instagram Live. Like, I'm trying to think about if that would garner any interest, because I don't know any of his songs. I don't know
any of his songs. I expect it to be a really good show. Like, it'll be cool and it's upbeat and his music's upbeat. But I mean, I almost feel naked without action on the halftime show at this point in the week. Usually I've got a lot of liability on the halftime show, but I don't. I don't know any of the Bad Bunny songs.
Let me close with this, Jason. Let me get your prediction on the game, and when it comes to the regular spread on the game, who are you taking? Who are you going with?
See, this is a tricky one. The spread on this game is a very, very tricky number. So my first bet of Super Bowl 60 was Seattle money line. It was right out of the gate. I got it at minus 198 at DraftKings. That's where it opened, because the look-ahead line was around 3.5, 4. And that went very quickly, and we've seen this go up to minus 230. The reason for this is, one, I do think Seattle is the right side. I do think they win this game. But two, this 4 to 4.5 point spread has been a no man's land for favorites. They will win as 4.5 point favorites. They will not cover the spread as 4.5 point favorites. It's a weird spot. 4 has become a more key number in football betting since they moved the PATs back in 2015. So we all think like 3, 6, 7, 10 are your key numbers of football betting, but 4 is right there. And routinely you will see 4.5 point favorites win the game but not cover the spread, to the point where it's like underdogs of 4.5 cover at almost a 56% blind rate since 2015, and they're 6-3 in the playoffs. They went 9-2 ATS this year. So me taking the Seahawks to just win outright and not play around with the points is in some ways saying I don't know if they cover that 4.5 point spread. So I don't know if that sits right on the fence. I like Seahawks outright. If I was playing the points, I'm going to wait and see if maybe I can get the Patriots with like a 5 or a 5.5 closer to kickoff. I don't know if it comes around, but that's my take on the Super Bowl.
Jason, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much, and enjoy the game on Sunday, and we'll catch up again soon.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Enjoy the game, and good luck with any of your wagers.
Awesome. Jason Logan from Covers.com joining us here on Sports Bash. We thank him. Really quick, what's hot at Ticketbash.com. Super Bowl 60 packages are available. Use code HOLIDAY15 for 15% off your order. The Islanders hosting the Penguins tonight at UBS Arena, while the Nets host the Lakers tonight at Barclays Center. Wednesday night, Knicks host the Nuggets at the Garden. Friday night, St. John's hosting UConn at the Garden. And as far as upcoming shows and concerts, you got WWE Monday Night Raw returning to Madison Square Garden March 30th. The Harlem Globetrotters are at Barclays Center on February 15th. And Lionel Richie, Earth, Wind & Fire, will be at Madison Square Garden July 11th and UBS Arena on July 14th. When we come back here on the program, New England Patriots radio voice Bob Socci will join us when Sports Bash returns right after this. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner.
In 1982, the Marty Lyons Foundation began with a single heartfelt mission: to bring moments of joy and hope to critically ill children by granting wishes that make their dreams come true. Since that day, we have touched the lives of over 8,600 families, raising over $44 million to grant wishes that offer a beacon of light in their darkest times. These precious wishes cost an average of $7,100 each. And your support is crucial to our mission. Every donation, big or small, makes a difference. And with 84 cents of every dollar going directly to supporting our families, you can rest assured your support truly changes lives. The Marty Lyons Foundation operates 11 chapters in 14 states now, working tirelessly to reach as many children as we can. This dedication goes hand in hand with our commitment to transparency and accountability, earning us top ratings on Charity Navigator, Great Nonprofits, and Candid, which underscores our dedication to those we serve. The Marty Lyons Foundation grants wishes to children ages 3 to 17. And what really makes this foundation so special is our willingness to grant not only a first wish, but also consider a second wish to a child who continues to battle a life-threatening illness. We stand by these children, offering them hope and strength through the power of dreams, giving our children the courage to wish for more.
What's your purpose in life? Is your purpose in life to live in the big house and drive the nice car? No. Your purpose in this life is to make it a little bit better for those that follow and realize that we live for today to see a better tomorrow.
Visit MartyLyonsFoundation.org to learn more and get involved.
Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. I'm Peter Schwartz. Get back to your phone calls at 516-465-3990. We thank Jason Logan from Covers.com joining us to talk about wagering on Super Bowl 60 and the matchup between the Patriots and the Seahawks this Sunday at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California. So we covered the gambling aspect of the game, and there's so much. There's so many different ways you can get action on the game on Sunday. It's always cool to see some of those exotic prop bets. I'll tell you, there's one prop bet you will not have this year. That's how many times you see Taylor Swift on TV, because that's not happening this year with the Chiefs, and not even getting to the playoffs this year. So no Taylor Swift coming. By the way, Tony, Bob Socci is calling my cell phone. Do you want to answer that? And ask. We tried giving. We just trying to get Bob Socci on the line. The Patriots radio play-by-play announcer, Tony Walker, doing yeoman's work, trying to get him on. We'll have him on in just a minute. But while we wait for Bob Socci to join us from Santa Clara, we will get the Coaches Collectibles item of the week. Coaches Collectibles, one of our great sponsors here on the program, and it's the Patriots and Seahawks Super Bowl ring collections in these beautiful wooden boxes. So obviously the Seahawks have just the one ring in there, but the Patriots have the 6 Super Bowl rings, looking for 7 on Sunday, while the Seahawks look for their 2nd. Coaches Collectibles, your number one source for 100% authentic sports memorabilia and live public autograph events. Don't forget, on Saturday, February 7th, Mets catcher Francisco Alvarez will be doing a public signing at Mulcahy's in Wantagh. There will be a photo op session from 11:30 to noon, and then the autograph session from noon to 1:30. Coaches Collectibles online at www.coachescollectiblesny.com and use code SportsBash for free shipping on all of your orders. Well, we want to welcome in our next guest here on the show, and for many, many years, I was very fortunate to do national sports radio updates on Sirius XM, on CBS Sports Radio, and also on the Infinity Sports Network. And on many of those updates on NFL Sundays or Mondays, whatever it might be, I always had the pleasure. And it's tough for me to say pleasure as a Jets fan, but it was always a pleasure to play this guy's highlights of Patriots games on my updates. So we want to welcome in the radio voice of the AFC champion New England Patriots, Bob Socci. Bob, it's Peter. How are you?
Hey, good, Peter. Good to be with you amidst the madness here in Santa Clara before the Patriots meet the media.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up as long as you brought it up. What is the atmosphere? Because obviously it's a long week when you cover a Super Bowl, especially when you're with one of the teams that are there, and you usually start to see the fans start coming in mass later in the week. But the Radio Row is always packed from start to finish. What is the overall atmosphere like at Santa Clara right now?
Yeah, it's a very difficult setup, I think, for a lot of media to try to cover all of it because of the distance between the various points. The Patriots, for example, are based in Santa Clara. Meanwhile, the Seahawks are in San Jose, not too far apart. However, the media headquarters are in San Francisco, where Media Row is, and not that anybody should feel sympathy for those of us, who are covering this event.
I'm laughing, Bob, because I've covered the Super Bowl so many times before, and I can understand what you're saying there.
But the volume of coverage here and the volume of availability is unlike anything you experience during the course of the season, and frankly, Peter, as you know, as well, even during the playoffs, because, for example, in a regular season week, you have access in the locker room for 45 minutes, and you hope that the right players that you want to talk to happen to be at their lockers or available when you walk in those doors. And at the Super Bowl, everybody's available.
Yeah.
1 through 53 on the roster, all the coaches, and the teams are made available multiple times during the week, including last night, which is chaotic enough. And that's an entirely different story, of course, opening night with the various characters that are in the midst asking non-football questions. But it's quite an experience to behold. And, this is the fifth time that I've had a chance to experience the Super Bowl, taking none of the opportunities for granted for sure. But this one is certainly out of the ordinary.
For beat writers, national columnists, and the rights holders, all that stuff, it's a very, very busy and hectic week, as you just touched on. But for a play-by-play announcer, and I share this perspective as I've done some play-by-play, and obviously you want to try and get as much background and information, not necessarily on the team you work for all season, but you want to spend some time around the other team as well for the broadcast. What's the week like for you as a play-by-play guy in preparing for kickoff on Sunday?
Yeah, Peter, what I try to do, and I learned this right away, actually, listening to coaches talk about team preparation. My first experience at the Super Bowl was in Super Bowl 49, when the Patriots played the Seahawks in Glendale, Arizona. And I heard coaches talking about getting their game plan in and really having almost all of it put to bed before they take off for the Super Bowl site. And so my approach was, I'm going to treat that first week, when the Patriots are still based in New England, before traveling to the game, as if that's the week between two regular season games. And that's when I did all my so-called paperwork, the background information on players. We create spotting charts, which are our cheat sheets. Right. Every broadcaster, I think, has his own way or her own way of doing them. And so I try to have all that work done before we ever landed in the Bay Area. And now this week, it's kind of just adding to what's already been prepared. It's a lot of interview opportunities. The station, of course, that carries our games, our flagship, 98.5 The Sports Hub in Boston, has a special each night in addition to the regular programming. So I've got to collect more sound from players, interviews, or sound bites at least, talking about different keys to the game. And you also learn a lot more about the other team. But you got to be careful not to overdo it. It is still a football game, and I really believe, having had the opportunity to call Super Bowls in the past, you understand the implications of every call. You it's going to be heard on NFL films, and you don't want to screw it up. That's the big thing. I don't want to screw it up, and I have, for sure. But but really what it boils down to, it is cliched, and you get tired of hearing coaches and players say it, like any other game. The mechanics of it are like any other game. It's down in distance. It's the score and the time. It just takes a lot longer to unfold because of halftime, and you have to be at the stadium a lot earlier because of security. But you're really doing the same job. And I always thought about when I tried to climb the ladder to get to this point, every broadcast that I had that night, that day, in my mind, was the most important game I was ever going to call. And so I try to take that attitude when I called my first, and I still try to take it today.
So a lot of people will spend this week talking about the matchup between Drake May and Sam Darnold, between how good the Patriot defense is to the Seahawks. But what about the matchup between Bob Socci and Steve Rabel, the voice of the Seahawks?
Well, Steve Rabel has a big advantage when it comes to football ability, for sure, and longevity. I mean, he's got it all, Mom. He's got all this the signature lines that have become part of I think sports fandom out in Seattle, just like Dave Niehaus, the great voice of the Mariners, the late Dave Niehaus, used to have a grand salami and for his call about a grand slam, and Steve has so many calls. Holy mackerel, holy catfish. He and Dave Wyman do a fantastic job. And certainly both of them have played football at a level that I could never imagine playing at. I didn't even get out of modified football as a seventh grader. So those guys have a distinct advantage. I just hope that I don't screw my part up, and whoever comes out as the winner, that both teams have a great soundtrack.
We're talking to Bob Socci, the radio play-by-play voice of the AFC champion New England Patriots, as the Patriots take on the Seattle Seahawks in Super Bowl 60 on Sunday in Santa Clara, California. So let's talk about the game, actually. And obviously for Patriots fans that so used to winning, this is a team that has won a lot of championships in recent time. But the last few years obviously went in the other direction. Bill Belichick left as head coach, and went through a little bit of a transition. And Mike Vrabel takes over this year as head coach. Drake May is in his second year after getting drafted. How special of a season has this been for the Patriots in getting back to this game so quickly after the Belichick-Brady era came to an end?
Yeah, Peter, it's been special, I think, for the most part, because it's been so refreshingly unexpected and exciting to watch the development of Drake May, to have a coach like Mike Vrabel come in and really change the vibe around the building, around the team. I think even in New England, for the fans of the Patriots. In my tenure alone, I've been spoiled, in ways that I never, I don't deserve.
Yeah.
In terms of being able to call so many victories and so many great plays and players, great moments. But, this season, I think, for me, has been, in a lot of ways, the season I've enjoyed the most, because so many of these players, are guys that may have been written off by other organizations, or no names, maybe in the minds and to the fans around the country. Vrabel's come in. He's certainly injected a lot of confidence in them, but at the same time as well, he implored the players to enjoy every experience, every win, every step along the process. And he's invited the fans through access to the team that he's allowed to share in that success. And that by extension, of course, includes those of us who cover the team. And when I think back to, the years when the Patriots were going to the Super Bowl on an annual basis, or at least getting the AFC Championship game, which, included the first part of my tenure, now 13 seasons calling the Pats, it was the expectation to get at least to the championship game of the conference. And anything short of that, even short of the Super Bowl, was considered really a disappointment, if not a failure. Well, this season, every step along the way has been a pleasant surprise in a lot of respects, and until, of course, the last part of the season when people really started to buy in. A lot of things have lined up very well for them. Vrabel has changed the culture with his staff. They've all come in with a vision that they've carried out. Drake May has grown tremendously under the direction of Josh McDaniels. We've seen breakout performances by some guys, and we've seen, guys really, I think, kind of play over their resumes, so to speak, to put this team in its position right now, getting ready to play the Super Bowl against the Seahawks. So I've tried to enjoy all of it, try to tell their stories, do justice to those stories, and I think that, it's going to be a great game. But it's been a fun season, regardless of how it turns out. It's been a great season to cover this team, and again, refreshing in a lot of different ways.
When you look at this matchup between a Patriots team that really came out of nowhere this year to get to the Super Bowl, and a Seattle team that I think we thought would be good coming into the season. I don't think we thought they would be this good, and especially Sam Darnold, resurrecting his career the last couple of years with Minnesota and Seattle. How do you look at this game overall as you get ready for it on Sunday?
Yeah, but I think you look at the two teams in their path here. The Seahawks came out of the West, best division in football, 3 teams with 12 wins or more. They rolled through San Francisco in the first round of the playoffs, obviously, and then Darnold had to play spectacularly for them to beat the Rams, a team that I think gets more attention for its defense. In Seattle, had to outscore Stafford and the Rams, and Darnold and company made all those plays, even, a bit short-handed, because they have Kenneth Walker, but not Charbonnet at this point, who was kind of a change of pace back for them, and I think has been a really nice player to watch over the last couple of years. So For me, Seattle has the more complete team in a lot of respects, the better resume considering the division from which they emerged. Darnold, people can talk about, the early years for him with the Jets, or maybe even go back to last season and question the playoff performance. And yeah, it was a poor performance. And this is a guy who began his career in a very shaky way. There's a reason why he's played for 5 different teams. But to me, he proved himself certainly these last few weeks to get them to the number 1 seed and then to get through those first 2 games, but particularly against the Rams. And I think the Patriots have been a team that, as the years gone along, as they've been able to take advantage of the bad football of opponents, which was a priority for Mike Vrabel, and a schedule that a lot of people nationally pointed to as soft, they built confidence. They grew closer. I think they became a better football team. They developed young players. They developed players that they added to the roster during the season, may continue to blossom. And so by the time they got to the playoffs, they were able to make their way here, primarily, though, because of their defense. And I think, in this game, I would expect close. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think special teams will be an important part of this, as it usually is, and Seattle's terrific in that respect. I think the Patriots, frankly, have to play, if not a perfect game, then a near-perfect game. I mean, they've got to be able to put pressure on Darnold to force some mistakes. I don't think expecting him to just make mistakes, unforced errors, is a formula for success, and I don't think the Patriots think that as well. So I really think that it's a matchup of a team that kind of found its identity during the year and began to really believe in itself and convinced other people that they should believe in, and they have earned their way here just like Seattle. But the Seahawks come into this game, I think, with the better overall resume in terms of being a complete football team, but also one that came out of the best division in football.
Bob, I can't thank you enough on short notice for joining me here on the show. Enjoy the rest of the week as you get ready for the Super Bowl, and hope we can talk again here on the program somewhere down the road.
I hope so too, Peter, and I appreciate the time with you today. Sorry we had a little difficulty connecting, but it's good to be with you.
Yeah, well, listen, and also we have to thank our mutual friend Ray Martell for making this happen today too, because I know he likes to joke with me and bust my chops about the whole Jet thing, but he really is a good dude.
Yeah, he is, and at least we all have common ground, I believe, because Ray and I are both diehard Mets fans. So,
how did that happen?
I grew up in upstate New York.
Oh, okay.
I grew up idolizing Bob Murphy.
Oh, there you go. That's a good guy to idolize. Well, Bob, thanks a lot. Enjoy the week, and we'll talk again soon.
All right, Peter. You take care.
You got it. Thanks. Bob Socci, the radio voice of the New England Patriots, who are taking on the Seattle Seahawks in the Super Bowl on Sunday. And it's funny because people now will ask me, who will listen and watch the show, how did you, a diehard Jets fan, have the Patriots play-by-play guy on? I'm like, I'm trying to be a professional here. I know we have a little fun here on the show, and I like to make fun of the fact that I'm a miserable Jet fan, but it is the Super Bowl, and I think that was a pretty good get for our little program to get the radio voice, and we're gonna try to have some other surprises on the show on Thursday. Speaking of Thursday, we do have one guest booked for the show on Thursday, and this is a great thing that's going on. I went to this game last year, first ever time that 2 professional hockey teams from Israel came to the United States and played in a game, and they did so at UBS Arena last year. And they're going to do it again. They're going to run it back this year. The Israel Elite Hockey League presents the USA Challenge Cup between HC Tel Aviv and the Jerusalem Capitals on Sunday, February 22nd at 5 o'clock at UBS Arena. And on Thursday's show, we're going to be joined by Mark Brunengraber, and I hope I pronounced that name correctly. I'll double-check before he comes on the show on Thursday. Mark Brunengraber is the co-founder and co-commissioner of the Israel Elite Hockey League. And again, it's going to be the USA Challenge Cup, HC Tel Aviv and the Jerusalem Capitals on Sunday, February 22nd, 5 o'clock at UBS Arena. And I already tell you, there's no way I can root for a team That's the Capitals, especially after last night. So I think once again for the second straight year, if I wind up going to the game, which I did last year and hope to go again this year, I think I'll be rooting for HC Tel Aviv in that game. But it's a great event, and we look forward to it happening, and we'll talk with Mark about it on Thursday. Next Thursday on the show, we will be joined by a player from the New York Sirens of the Professional Women's Hockey League, and the Sirens are going to play the Seattle Torrent in the first ever PWHL game at Madison Square Garden on Saturday, April 4th at 8 o'clock. Now, the Sirens have played at UBS Arena. They've played in Bridgeport. Now they play at the Prudential Center in New Jersey. But they are going to play at Madison Square Garden. My understanding is that this game is almost sold out. I took a look at the Ticketmaster chart, and you can't really look at the ticketbash.com chart because ticketbash.com is a resale, but you look at ticketmaster.com and you look for the blue dots. Vinny Tickets always tells us, look to see if this is a blue dot game. That means that there's a lot of tickets available if you see a lot of those blue dots on the Ticketmaster website, but there's not a lot of blue dots. And so that means that game is going to do very, very well. We'll talk to one of the players on the Sirens about that game and a chance to play at the world's most famous arena. That'll be next Thursday. And that'll do it for this edition of Sports Bash presented by TicketBash.com and Ryan Anthony's Heating and Air Conditioning Service. Thanks to my guests, Jason Logan and Bob Socci. Thanks to Tony Walker and everyone here at Governors. Thanks to our social media coordinator, Leanne Burgess. Sports Bash is sponsored by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, Coaches Collectibles, and by the Marty Lyons Foundation. That was a great show, everyone. Thanks for watching and listening. Sports Bash is back on Thursday at 1 o'clock. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you Thursday.